everyone, Scott Solari here with Realsynch, and welcome back to another episode of where I'm interviewing and connecting with the partners and businesses that I recommend you work with in your business in order to grow the business you want and the life you want. And so today I am fortunate and grateful to have Kathleen Metcalf, a longtime friend of mine that I've known for almost a decade now in the business, who's been helping real estate teams. And I'm going to let Kathleen explain a little bit about what she does and her business, Kammbium. Am I saying it right? Oh my God.
Kammbium. Yep.
Kammbium. Sorry. Boo, Scott. Okay. Anyway, Kathleen, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell the audience, if you're watching this right now and you don't know who Kathleen is, we want to know a little bit about Kathleen and what you've done and who you are. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And I always enjoy time with you and have so much respect for the work that you do, Scott. This is my 21st year in the real estate industry. And this is my 11th year in this business. And I have a previous career in recruiting and training in the retail industry. And then I got introduced to real estate by the woman who owned the apartment building I lived in San Francisco, who turned out to be one of the top 10 real estate agents in the city. And so I stepped right into luxury real estate in Pacific Heights and was an unlicensed assistant, a licensed assistant, and then became an agent as well. And so I really got to see, oh, I could do this. I was a recruiter. And if I was a recruiter, I could be in real estate because I could see the match between people and properties was just like the match between people and jobs.
Right.
So I spent time boots on the ground, and then I had been away from my family for 25 years between Miami, San Francisco, and New York City. So I got this itch to move home. So I moved 16 years ago to this little town in Vermont and ended up working for the #1 Mike Ferry coach for 6 years as her assistant. So I listened, she's since then retired, but I listened to her coach 65 top producing agents a week for 6 years. And I heard the same problems over and over again. How are you going to hire your assistant and get them trained and keep going with your prospecting? And I'm sitting across the room thinking, I've been a recruiter, I've been a trainer, I've been an assistant, I've been an agent. There's got to be a solution to this problem. Because I saw that agents hit the ceiling in production and quality of life if they did not have good operations support. So I started helping her clients, for free while I was working for her. She was like, could you help them read this resume? Could you help them? Could you train their assistant? And so I actually started this business with a headset with a binder on top of her washer and dryer in her laundry room.
That's
true
amazing.
Story.
Yeah.
And then Kathy said to me at Christmas that year, she said, next year, you should really charge people. And that was the beginning of the end. And by the end of that year, I had replaced myself with her and started this business where I would help agents hire and train their administrative assistant.
Right.
Now that grew into realizing I would get called in to coach when I would figure out maybe they hadn't been trained, and then maybe they'd actually hired the wrong person. And then I actually figured out, they don't have any systems.
Oof.
There's no checklists because the agents learn to do the business. They're winging it. They're salespeople.
What, these high D salespeople don't have systems in place? What are you talking about?
No.
Who would have thought?
And look how successful they are. And then they get to burn out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it really then started to, over the last 11 years, we've been evolving our services and creating this collection of operations collaborators, because now we can help you set up, level up, or optimize your systems, help you hire and train and coach your operations staff and learn to work with your operations staff so you can really do what you love as an agent, which is sell, make deals, and take time off.
Yeah, I love it. Unbelievable. So you've seen all, everything, right? I mean, all the pain and the problems of what agents or business, excuse me, I got a cough, what they go through as they're growing, right? So talk to me a little bit about some of, if I'm listening and this is starting to kind of hit the the nail on the head there. Talk a little about what they've gone through, what you've seen, some stories a little bit about like what they like, what point they get to where maybe you need to decide to have help instead of continuing to try to hire an admin and then fire that person because they're not a fit. And then you hire and fire them again because they're not a fit. And you keep going through this cycle.
Yes, which is discouraging for everyone involved, right?
Yeah.
So when you're first a real estate agent, your number one calling is to learn to sell, right? To learn to get sales skills, to have scripting practice, role play, to understand the contract, the disclosures, the escrow or pending process, depending on what state you're in. And so that's your first line of offense for being successful. So now what begins to happen is as you are successful, you begin to realize at the point of success, of capacity, that you need to be able to hand things off. And so what we begin to see then is, depending on what part of the country you're in and the price point you work in, somewhere around 20 deals a year, 2, 3, 4 deals a month. And in California, sometimes it's 12 deals a year because they're at $5 million a piece and they need a lot of listing prep. But at that point, you begin to recognize that your sales time is way more valuable than your admin time.
Yeah.
And so depending on your gross commission income and your price point, when you're worth $200, $300, $400 an hour, you need to delegate the $20, $30, $40 an hour stuff to your assistant, your TC, your bookkeeper, to be able to really let that go. And then you move from being a salesperson and you start to move into being an owner, a business owner. You start moving into being a bit of a CEO, even if that's just going to be you and your assistant and your part-time TC.
Right.
So we also have seen agents that have been in business 25 years. They have good support. They have no systems.
Yeah.
If Katie leaves, everybody's in trouble.
Right.
Because she knows where everything is. And so it's also, there's no shame if you've been running your business out of your cell phone and out of a box of forms in your car or out of a tablet, or zip forms. There's no shame in that. Look how successful you've been. But it's also okay
I'm going to
that you're
say,
not good at it.
Yeah. Shame on you, but yes. Okay. I agree. Kind of.
Right. So we meet people where they are. And so, I've had very successful agent in Los Angeles running a business, had a team, moved from one brokerage to another, but really now is looking at how is he going to step back?
Yeah.
Out. How is he going to travel more? How is he going to spend more time with his family and then let the team do it when he's been giving all the direction?
Right.
So then, he worked with us, documented systems, brought in a director of operations, set up sales management techniques, decided to follow the EOS traction method.
Great. Right? Love the
and
EOS.
So,
we do that in our business.
So now be able to step up and step back, but had been in the business 20, 25 years. It's okay if you recognize there, now you want to do it.
Right.
It's also okay if you have gone through virtual assistants in the Philippines. And if you do that, it's terrific. We have someone on our team. We're in our 3rd year working with Joyce, but it is different than managing someone who's from your neighborhood, who comes in every day. And it does mean that you need to have a way to be able to have a transparency to know what's going on. So that you can also then know who are you, how do you like to work? And so who's your complement?
Right.
The other mistake we see is that agents think that when they hire the admin is going to be able to set up their systems.
Yeah.
We find that 15% of admin can set up systems, 85% can follow
a system.
So it takes a certain kind of organizational mind to set up and a certain level of experience to set up systems, and then people can follow them. So that's also where, if you're going to have your assistant do it, then you need to interview for that.
Yeah.
Where have they done that?
So I want to stop you here because this is where I feel like, if you're not the team that's never hired before, and this is the first thing for you, then we know what you need to do. Right. But I think there's a lot of businesses out there that hire with the expectation that, oh, the admin person is just going to set up all these systems and they just will know how to do it. They've never had experience in real estate before. They don't, they've never sold real estate but they're going to set up all this stuff. And I think that is part of what ends up happening, where you burn out the assistant. Maybe they were qualified and really good for the position, but your expectation was way too high on what you wanted them to be able to pull off. And this goes to what you just said. So I think, we see that a lot. I see that all the time. I hear it all the time. And I just kind of, here we go again, same story. But, this is a really big deal that you're pointing out right now, that 15% can do, 85% can follow. How are you helping those realize when you work with them that, like, hey, this is like 85%, like let us help you do the systems. Your admin's going to crush once they're in place, because they're going to know what to follow and be able to hold people accountable and follow that system, right?
Yes. And so there's some pieces in here. There are agents who are good at systems and administration and operations. They're analytical. They enjoy order and efficiency, and they really like that. Fantastic. They can really be a great participant in setting up systems, but that's also often not the majority of agents, right? We kidded before about the high D, right? Who has no interest in doing any of that. And so we're not expecting them to be different people. They need to be able to let someone else do it. So my company, so Kammbium, and the systems documentation team will actually just let you talk to us. We can screen record. We can talk to you about the software that you use. So this is like where a Realsynch comes into to help, right? What's your stack of tech and how do you want that connected? And then from our experience of working with all these different teams over these years, big and small, be able to see, well, here's where the workflow goes. And when you send a text message, where's that going? How can anybody see that? How does that disrupt your workflow? Now your admin is blind because you got all these texts in your phone that no one can see. So now you have to do admin because you have all the information. So we can help you design that workflow with you, with your assistant, if they have it, to be able to see, okay, where are your pain points? Are you dropping leads? Is your lead follow-up not happening? So do you have money on the table? Do you have money falling through the cracks in the floor? And so now what is that process, that support team that admin can help you with, but you're still the salesperson? You're going to make those calls, or your ISA is, or your buyer's agent is, but what is the structure underneath it? So let us help you build that. Potentially train your assistant if you have one, or if you don't have one, then let's hire someone who can run this system. And train them to do that. Because this infrastructure is really the peace of mind of your business. So you can have admin turnover if you have great systems. Otherwise, the system leaves with the admin. Painful.
And like, it's like this visibility, transparency thing, and understanding of, as an owner, whether you're doing it or not, it's so important that you understand each step, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And you have a dashboard.
That gives you, it gives you a peace of mind, right? Like you're talking about, of like, all right, this is what happens. Even if you don't know the how, it's like, like what's supposed to happen. Like when this happens, this next thing happens, right? So I mean, all right. So let's talk a little bit more about the systems and how someone has the staff right now, you identify their great staff. Like, what's your process in helping them get all this training, these systems in order, so there is this process from the time they generate a lead to the time that person becomes a client, and you're nurturing them for the next 7, 10, 20 years to get that repeat business, right? I mean, that's the length of the process. What are we doing?
So we have what we call the business circle. It's like a clock. And for every step of the process, lead generation, lead follow-up, appointments, listings, showings, pending, offers that come in, pending to closing, the deal closes. How do you stay in touch with people that leads to more leads? So it always goes in that circle.
Great.
And so you want an efficient workflow process for every step. And then it should be clear who's in what swim lane. What is the agent doing? What is an administrative person doing? and what's the TC's responsibility? So then you can get a dashboard, step back, and be able to stay in your lane and go sell with confidence that when you hand something off as an agent, it's getting done. And then you want a transparent way of being able to see that it's done, potentially from your, hotel room in Tahiti at 7 a.m. You check in on the team and then you go to the pool, relax. Because you can see that it's all done, as opposed to chasing it and having to be on the phone when your kids are trying to learn how to surf. Be able to run your business with that kind of ease. Our process for setting up systems is a consultation, a brain dump. We organize it, we refine it, and you get an operations playbook that's digital. It's 5 steps. It can take from 6 to 12 weeks.
Right. Which, part of the big problem is that agents, when they start to go on this path, they want it done like in a week. And it's like, no,
you have to slow down.
You got to slow down to speed up. Right. So it's one of those things where, it's going to be maybe a little bit more painful, and you're going to have to really focus and kind of use the other part of your brain to get this done. But you put in all that work, right? A little bit, all that work up front with you and your team, to where then everything just starts to run smooth after you get it going. And then you refine it over time, little tweaks here and there as new technologies come out or new things start to happen in the industry. You're always making little adjustments. You always have to be growing, right? In some sense, right? Whether it's operationally, system, people, there's always some sort of growth happening to continue to move your business forward. But once you have it dialed in, I mean, it's the 80-20 rule, right? Like,
it's 80%. Very small maintenance.
And
because we actually set up the systems for you, this is where we saw a need in the industry. So let's say you follow Ninja Selling. Okay, Ninja Selling has a list of things that they think you ought to do, but they give you the workbook, like they give you the list. We can actually set it up in your systems and in your software for you.
Right.
Let's say you follow Blueprint by Tom Ferry. Okay, you go to the Blueprint workshop, because I sent one of my coaches to go to the Blueprint workshop, and then you get a workbook. Okay, but now you have to implement the workbook. Right. And so how do you get that set up? We can actually set that up for you, because everything is technology, it's digital. We can do this from distance. We can come in and be able to see that for you. And let's say that you follow Buffini, right? And you have Referral Maker. And so, but how are you setting all of that up so that you can really spend your time? So for the agents, participation in setting up their systems is really not very painful with us.
So there's not a lot of adoption.
Because you talk to us. You know how to talk to people. You're excellent at talking to people. You just talk to us because we can actually do something with the information.
Yeah. Kathleen, I love this because, the reality is there's a lot of great coaches out there, but they're coaches and they're not executing for you. They're not doing the service part of it to go into your actual systems and set everything up, which is what you're doing, which is very unique in this industry. Okay. Because people will pay thousands of dollars a month to hear some magic words, but nothing actually gets done for them. They have to rely on themselves to go do it, which is the problem in itself.
Hard.
Right? Yeah, it's very hard.
That's where the skill set doesn't match. And it may not even match for the admin who are working for them, if they have them.
And it's like, what are you going to wear multiple hats? Like, you're the salesperson.
Right.
Like, majority of you are, right? Obviously, there's some outliers that are operation people that are owning the business, but you're a salesperson. What are you supposed to go wear the ops hat and build all this out while you're selling? Makes no sense.
Right. And so it's also, so we consider ourselves in 3 categories: set up, level up, and optimize. So to your point, right, once you get some structure in place, it can be a spreadsheet, and you even can have a spreadsheet as a database. You can have email templates in your draft folder. Like, it doesn't have to be terribly sophisticated, but there are levels of sophistication, but you want something. So we worked with a team a couple of years ago and set up their systems with them. And then the agent got sick. And she had one of her best years because she had systems set up. She came back to tell us, I would never have been able to have my business run the way it did if I had not done that work. Not only sustained my business, but had an increase in business with only having 2 agents.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so to be able to have those kind of results, to have agents that say to us, I have never been able to go on vacation before and unplug.
Yeah.
And I did. for a week, for 2 weeks, because all I had to do if I wanted to was check in, but otherwise my business ran without all that energy while I was on vacation.
Right.
Because this is also about quality of life. It has been very common in the retail industry to grind.
Yeah.
It really isn't necessary. Yes, you got to push to, follow up and negotiate a deal. But when you have great systems, a lot of this grind can pull back.
Yeah.
And then things click and you get to pick and choose where you spend your quality time so you can actually create a quality life. And this is where you and I have a shared acquaintance, Lars Hedenborg of Real Estate B School.
Yeah, I love Lars.
Has 6 layers of business. I believe Tom Ferry also does, so that you can grow your business to the level that you want, but have a great life while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Be able to spend time with your family, be able to go to your kids' soccer games at 3:30 if you want to, because you can structure your business to be able to do that if it's conscious.
Right.
And sometimes you might miss a deal because you have a life, but you'll have a life.
Yeah.
You'll have a great life. And so you might miss a deal or two throughout the year, but maybe you won't if you have the great support, set up for other agents on the team, but you can create something that is high quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you're not following up with leads in your system, I have my real estate license. I'll call them and give me a referral fee.
Yeah, there's money
let's
on
go.
the table, man.
Let's go. What are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. But let's talk a little bit more about the success you've seen with teams. I know you kind of mentioned, but tell me some specifics if that's okay. You don't need to use names. We're working with a client right now who's number one in her market. Yep. And I don't even know how she is because she has limited people and she's going through this process right now. But let's talk about some people that have worked with you that are kind of, way down the road and just fine tuning here and there, but have seen tremendous success. Talk a little bit about the success, because I think that's important for people to understand too.
Yes. I mean, we've worked with an agent who came from a medical background. She was actually a doctor before she was an agent. And so she knew that she was technical, right? She'd learned to sell, but she wanted to set everything up so that it was precise and so that nothing was left behind. So she has been able to reach her goals, exceed her goals, come back to let us know it's working. Right? She's proud of the way her business functions. She's got great customer service, right? I have worked with a team out of Texas. They've been together a long time, but they needed to be able to document things. They needed some encouragement for the assistant who used to get nervous when they got too much business. So some people have had this pain point, right? So the admin wants to slow down because it's too much. So where can we hit capacity, right? So I coach the assistant about being able to let things flow. Where can you delegate? To teach an assistant to delegate so that the agent can keep being successful and bringing in new business, and the admin can let that go and let things get bigger. So they were able to grow their business. They added a transaction coordinator. Right. So I told you about the agent in Los Angeles who'd been in business a long time. Now he's added more agents. He's added more structural support. And so now he's added sales management to be able to have someone else doing those pieces so that he can begin to look at what is it going to look like to not be the lead agent all the time anymore. We worked with an agent who's actually a broker in the Northwest, who needed to set up not only her systems and her team as an agent, but she decided to become a broker. And she has a fantastic story. She actually spent time in prison. Wow. And was able to rehabilitate her life, become a real estate broker, and then be able to offer opportunities for agents of all diversity to join her brokerage firm and have a systematic way in which to be able to run their business. So she has a mission in addition to a business. And then we were happy to partner with her so that she could make all the levels of that dream come true.
That's amazing, Kathleen. I love it. So last question, what do you hear the most when a client comes full circle and everything you've done's helped them and they're full of gratitude? What do they say to you? Because I know people, you love to kind of be able to go, all right, forget the ROI on what they're spending with you. Like, what's that feeling like that you're receiving back after? Because I think that's important to identify with.
They have a relaxed peace of mind that they're going to have a sustainable business to run. And they also wish they had done it sooner.
Yeah.
Almost everyone wishes they had started this process, because it doesn't have to take very long, but that they were grinding longer than they needed to.
Yeah.
That they could have had more ease in their business earlier. They could have had more confidence in how they were being a leader and how they were able to delegate things, because they were holding on longer than they realized now that they needed to. But that peace of mind, you know, I've often used the example of an agent's mind is like a magnet. And do you remember that science experiment in school where you would put the magnet over little shards of metal, and the closer you got, the little shards of metal would crawl up and stick to the magnet? That seems to be what happens to an agent's mind when they are not sure that things are being done.
Right.
Did that email go out? Did somebody pick up that lockbox? I wonder, have we ordered that sign? Has that sign been put into place? And they don't even realize they're carrying all these little shards stuck to their mind.
Yeah.
And what we have found is that process of relieving that those things are all done creates space for them to either focus on going to their kids' soccer games, or doing more lead follow-up, or being able to plan their business in a bigger way, or manage their wealth in a way that is more, exciting to them, so that they have space to do the things that they love more, or that bring them greater value. And that they don't realize, because it's familiar to be worried and thinking about that all the time.
Yeah.
But I've also used the analogy, you don't realize that your fishbowl water is dirty until you get into the new clean fishbowl, and you go, oh, wow, I've been swimming in some dirty fishbowl water for a long time.
Should have cleaned that coral. Whoops.
Yeah, we should get more of that. And so once you have these things in place, even a little bit, even a listing checklist, so that you don't have to keep going back and forth with your assistant about the listing and getting it ready, you realize, like, oh, that has been a lot more effort than it really needed to be. I am free to now do more lead follow-up, or be able to call my past clients, or be able to plan a client event, or be able to go on vacation.
Oh. I have less stress right now just listening to you.
Right? We're in the peace of mind business.
Yeah. All right. So Kathleen, if this is resonating with someone watching, and they're still watching, which is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you for watching the whole thing.
Yes.
What do they do next if they want to talk to you or your team? And
we can give you a link if you want in your newsletter to me and to my calendar.
There will be a link below. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do all that. And
if you go to the Kammbium website, in the contact us page is a contact form. Just fill it out. Let's have a consultation. Let us learn about your business, and let us recommend to you how we could help you and meet you where you are, so that you could begin to put these things in place, have more peace of mind, create the business that you want.
Kathleen, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you being on, sharing your expertise and knowledge, and just everything that you are to help business owners. I appreciate it. And I know those that are watching appreciate it too. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing at Realsynch.
No problem. And everyone, this has been another episode with Scott at Realsynch, and you know where we are. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.